It's Sunday morning, and you wake up on your waterbed, and then sleep in a little bit longer after hitting the snooze button on your alarm clock. And once you wake up, you'll have some breakfast before fetching the Sunday newspaper off your doorstep. You'll check out the coupons, sugar-free tab, Watchman, 7 Up, pink toilet paper, cat food, and then you read the Sunday morning funnies, Garfield and Charlie Brown. You watch a few cartoons on Sunday morning USA Cartoon Express.
Back to the action as the Shark Tales and Mr. Tinkle flown into more madness from the Sunday Cartoon Express.
Some other cartoons you'll see on Sunday morning Cartoon Express are the Smurfs and Yogi Bear. He's smarter than the average bear. Boo? Or Hey, 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 it's Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. Or Looney Tunes. Meet George Jetson. Dun 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 dun. Our Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones. Oh, look, it's the Care Bears. And Scooby Scooby Doo. These were typical Sunday morning cartoons. It's Winnie the Pooh, Alvin and the Chipmunks, G.I. Joe, an American hero. Knowing is half the battle. Well, there's still time to do your hair before you head off to the mall. Just take a look at all of these people. There's something different from them than us, but we don't pay attention. But if they could see us, there's something they would notice. Take a close look. What is this man thinking about? Or over here, in the plaid shirt. Notice this man casually walking through the mall as he swings his hand? What is it that all of these people have in common that makes them different from us? Just take a look at how jam-packed the mall used to be on the weekends. All of these people came out of their house and went out into society so that they could go shopping, so that they can see and be seen. But what looks very different about these people from us today? The malls have thinned out now, and the crowds have faded away, but there's something that these people have that we don't, and that's time. All of these people had more time, but there's something we have that they didn't. And well, what is it that none of these people are holding in their hand? Is this the cell phone. Notice none of the people are holding a cell phone. This is what it looks like today. You notice the Chick-fil-A sign right here in the background? If somehow it supernaturally changed, would any of these people even notice this? Everyone is obsessed with looking down at their cell phone. A scene in a photo today would look totally foreign and unusual to someone from the past. If you took someone and they traveled into the future, something would look very, very odd about this. Everyone is looking down at this rectangular device in their hands. But this is what I'm used to seeing. You notice the people are going about their way, alert and aware totally conscious of their surroundings. This is what's normal to me. If you were to ask any of these people what the Ford logo looked like, or how to spell Fruit Loops, they can tell you. They knew stuff like the color of the sun, but it's all different now. You see this group of kids? They're not there to shop. Oh, they will shop, but that's not their primary goal. The reason they're at the mall is to hang out. And why? Because they didn't have the internet. One place to hang out was the music store. There were no MP3 players. No, kids would go to the music store. iTunes didn't exist. Remember taping your favorite songs and having to rewind and fast forward? I had a stereo just like this. It has dual tape decks so that you could record your favorite songs. This is how many tapes you'd have. Now all of this will fit on a thumb drive or a memory card the size of your pinky now. Oh, the portable stereo. How convenient. Kids would get out and interact. They would go to the arcade and play video games, like Donkey Kong. Or they could even play Atari at home. But they didn't stay obsessed, addicted to video games. Even when Nintendo came out, you would give this maybe an hour of your time and then be off on your way to do something else. Even with a portable game device, this is bigger than my cell phone. And look at the size of all these games. I can do all of this on my cell phone now. Well, if you were shopping, you could go to Montgomery Ward's. Notice the M and the W? Secret symbology for 33. You'll find MW on all kinds of companies. Or WW, like Woolworths, another 33. Or sometimes CC, like Circuit City, or Comedy Central. The CC symbolism. How about Staples? I remember it looking this way. Back then, we'd go to the bookstore. This one was called Walden Books. Back then, if you wanted to know something, you couldn't just Google it on your smartphone. You'd have to look it up. So you'd go to the bookstore or the library. Remember these? In this video, I'm going to be examining the past. I hope to stimulate people's memories and demonstrate how the Mandela effect has altered our reality. I question whether or not it's only our perception of time that has changed, or if time has literally sped up. The cell phone has had a major impact on our society and replaced common things, saving us lots of time. Going to the music store wasn't just purchasing music, but you could meet people. You could buy concert tickets. Well, now you can purchase tickets on your cell phone. And even though we have printers that we didn't have then, you don't even need to print your tickets out anymore. You could just swipe your cell phone. Come along with me on this journey. We're going to travel back in time. Back then, if you wanted to look something up, you couldn't just Google it. You'd actually have to check an encyclopedia, like this Encyclopedia Britannica set. Think of all the extra time that would take. And if you wanted to know how to spell a word, Your cell phone didn't just spell correct it for you. You'd have to have a spell checker, like this Franklin spell checker. This entire thing is bigger than my cell phone, and it only performs one task. It can tell you how to spell words like dilemma and definitely and banana. And if you needed to write something down, you couldn't just text it or type it. You'd actually have to have something to write on. The day runner. This was the smartphone of our time. You can keep your business contacts and phone numbers, you can write stuff down, check your calendar. Now, all I have to do is look down at my cell phone to see a calendar. If I want to know what week Thanksgiving is on or when daylight savings time is, I'd actually have to check a real calendar back then. But the cell phone has replaced all of these things. The calculator, even the mini recorder. This amazing device can fit in your pocket. How convenient. That's all it did, was just record. In fact, I don't even need a typewriter anymore, because I've got Siri. I could just speak into my cell phone and it types everything for me. I don't need a floppy disk to save it on, or bulky computer paper to print it on, or a huge filing cabinet to store it in. Everything that fits in these filing cabinets can go into a thumb drive. I've got more information stored on my phone. I remember when a colored copy used to be a big deal. You'd have to go to a printing place for that. But I've got a wireless scanner and printer at home that prints colored photographs. Here was a popular place to buy software. Or you can go to service merchandise. Another cool place to go when you were at the mall was clothing stores. You can shop for clothes here. This picture is a little distorted, but if you look close, you can see the VW Bug, the old Volkswagen. It looked like this. And it was spelled this way. The mall was a good place to buy your Z Cavariccis, or your Jordache jeans, and Fruit of the Loom. You can shop for clothes at Miller's Outpost or JCPenney, and you can get pants that look like this, or leg warmers if you were a girl, and sunglasses. These are the things that I'm familiar with. And at the time, a calculator watch was impressive. You didn't have to carry around a calculator. This was like Inspector Gadget technology. The mall would have all kinds of fashion for men and women, and the mood ring. Now there's probably an app for that. And how would you purchase all that stuff? You could use cash, check, or credit card. Remember standing behind someone writing a check? This was common. Think of the extra time it took. We didn't have debit card. Now everyone shops online. Why even leave their house? I remember going to Spencer's and playing with these toys. The electric ball. These are my memories from my teenage years, from my childhood. I remember KB Toy Store sold stuff like the Rubik's Cube, spelled with an X, not a K, or a yo-yo, or a slinky, the Magic 8 Ball. These are the things I'm familiar with, the Etch-a-Sketch. Does anyone else remember these toys? Now, kids just stare at their cell phones. They play their video games. But this is the reality I'm from. Marbles, Garbage Pail Kids, Mr. Potato Head. Does anybody remember what life was like back then? The heart was on the left-hand side, like in the game of Operation. I remember there was time in the day for this kind of stuff. What happened? What reality do we live in now? A calculator? A watch? A stopwatch? A timer? An alarm clock? Or even a thermometer? I don't need any of these things anymore because my cell phone does all of this. I can check the weather anywhere around the world instantly on my cell phone. Or I can have multiple alarms on my cell phone with individual ringtones. Think of the extra minutes of the day I'm saving when I'm not fiddling around with an alarm clock or having to manually set the time because my cell phone keeps GPS time. Think of the extra steps it would take to go and get a timer instead of just looking down at your phone when you need it. All of these extra little steps that we used to take now are instantly available at the touch of a finger. Remember when leaving your house meant you were going to be away from the phone and no one could reach you? If you needed to make a call, you would have to use a payphone. And don't forget to call 1-800-COLLECT or 1-800-CALL-ATT for all your collect calls. But how would you know what number to dial? Well, you didn't have it stored in your cell phone. You'd have to have a phone book. Think of the extra time it would take to look through your phone book and write down numbers. And if you were at a workplace, you'd have a Rolodex to keep all your phone numbers in. Now, that's all stored on a cell phone. And when you weren't home, someone would just have to leave you a message at the sound of the beep, and you will return their call as soon as possible. I remember getting home, the first thing I did was set my keys on the counter and check my answering machine. You would have to rewind this tape and then listen to the messages. But then they came out with the mini answering machine. How chic! How small and convenient. I remember when I would call someone, and if they were on the other line, you would just get a busy signal. You'd have to call them back. I don't think teenagers would even know how to work a rotary phone. Well, then I had this phone, the wall phone. Remember talking on the phone meant you were glued to the wall in all directions as long as the phone cord would stretch. Well, then I had this phone, and finally, they came out with the cordless phone. You could walk around your house and talk on the phone at the same time. This was text messaging in our day. Remember when girls would do this? If you needed to reach someone that wasn't home, you could always page them, or as we called it, beep them. This was our text messaging. These are the secret codes we used to text message then. The pager. If you had a pager, well, you must be a doctor or a drug dealer. Well, then they came out with the car phone or the cell phone. You were rich if you had a cell phone. Then there was this, and then that. But one thing our cell phone most certainly didn't do was take photos. You would actually have to have a camera and then develop the film. You only got 24 exposures, and then you would have to go to 1 hour photo. How convenient. You can have your photos developed while you shop. They'll be ready in just an hour. Unless you had a Polaroid camera, then you can take instant photos. And you couldn't share them to Facebook and social media because we didn't have that. We had photo albums. This was our Facebook of the day. And if you wanted to make video, well, this is how big a video camera was. And the quality on the cell phone is better than what this whole camera did, which opened up the whole door for reality shows, YouTube videos, independent filmmakers. Well, back then we can play photon, laser tag, and still had time to go grab a bite to eat, right? Or watch a movie. Let's go to the video store. Well, first I have to unlock my car door with the key. I didn't have a clicker, a little auto alarm to open the doors. Nothing was digital. I couldn't check my GPS. I had to use a Thomas guide. How confusing. Think of the extra time it would take. Now my GPS tells me where to go. And don't forget to roll up the window. And of course, put in your theft-proof stereo. Well, let's go to the video store. Look at all the different videos to rent. You would have to rewind the videos and return the videos. You couldn't just live stream it on the internet. I think I'll watch this one. Sinbad Played a Genie. That was an available movie at the time. Look at how much space all these videos take up. I watch movies on my cell phone and on my laptop. This video VHS cassette is bigger than my cell phone. Remember recording your own videos and putting it in the VCR? Think of the extra time. My VCR used to flash 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I remember certain times having to put in the head cleaner to clean the VCR. And yet there was plenty of time in the day to put aluminum foil on the antennas of my television set. We even would read the TV guide. We didn't have 500 channels. We had Alf, Max Headroom, Cheers, The Cosby Show, Family Tides, Fraggle Rock, Knight Rider, MacGyver, Mork and Mindy, Mr. Belvedere, My Two Dads, The Jeffersons, Magnum P.I., Punky Brewster, Saved by the Bell, Quantum Leap, Three's Company, Coach, Who's the Boss, Growing Pains, Bosom Buddies, Out of This World, Family Matters, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Blossom, Doogie Howser, MD, Roseanne. The television set would have a warm glow, a flicker to it. I remember feeling at home, eating Cheez-Its and watching television, and that warm flicker from the television would look like this. Modern flat-screen digital TVs don't look this way. I remember falling asleep and waking up in the middle of the night to hearing and seeing the static on the television set because the station went off air. The TV was a way of kind of knowing what time it was. Life was different. Well, let's go grab a pizza. We can go to Showbiz or Chuck E. Cheese, but those places are too crowded. Maybe we'll go to Domino's and see the Noid. I know, I'll go to Pizza Hut so that I can play Pac-Man. What do I want to order? I guess I'll have a Bigfoot pizza and something to drink. I'll have a slice. Well, how am I going to pay for all that? Paying bills back then took time. We didn't have direct deposit or automatic withdrawal. We couldn't pay our bills online. We'd actually have to get an envelope and a stamp and go to the post office. All of this took extra time. Think about it. The cell phone has saved us a lot of time. We just look down at our hand And with a touch of a finger, we can do all of these things that took extra steps out of the day. A lot of extra steps. So why is it that we have less time nowadays? Shouldn't we have more time? I remember having extra time to do stuff like this. Play with string. What is going on? There seems like there's no time in a day. In any given day, if I choose a single project, that one thing is all I have time for. But I used to be able to go to the mall, go get pizza, and still come home and be able to play a game of Monopoly. How is it my childhood, I had time to build a blanket fort or a tree house? And kids nowadays just play video games, but yet there's no time for anything. I'm gonna put together a compilation video of the most popular intros to 1980s and 90s television shows. Because for me, just hearing the theme songs again and seeing the familiar faces, it brought back a lot of memories. It's strange how if you grew up watching a certain show all the time and you hadn't seen it in a while, or a specific song that you haven't heard in a while, when you hear it again or see it, it will stimulate your mind. It's like, oh, I remember this. It just brings it all back. And when I was doing research into the things from the 80s, I've seen things that I totally forgot about. And if you put yourself into the shoes of the person who you used to be back in the 80s and 90s, and then take a look around at reality now, you'll know something has changed. Seeing all those familiar products, and then look at the Mandela list, at the way that things are spelled, at the way that logos and labels are, that's not what I grew up with. Guys, I encourage you to watch the video I put out and check out some old 80s stuff. Go watch your old show, one you hadn't seen in a while. Until next time, goodbye.